Well, welcome everybody to today's information session on our Professional Coaching for Life and Work Certificate Program here at UC Davis CPE, or Continuing in Professional Education. We're really glad that you're joining us this morning. This is the first of our new season's cohort. We're here to talk about the winter cohort of 2022. It's amazing, we're already prepping for that. So you can see that this is our early bird, our first getters info session, and we have our early application deadline, which we'll be talking about, is going to be at the end of this month. So you are all at the very front of the line here, getting the information, and if you decide that this program sounds like it's right for you, you'll be able to get that application in at the very best time with the least competition. So let's go ahead and get started. I like to start out by actually giving you a poll, and really this session is for you guys. So I like to know a little bit about your background. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, what brought you here today, what kind of things have caused you to be interested in coaching? Has somebody mentioned it before? Has someone said, oh, you should be a coach? You always tell me such great things. Or maybe you're already a coach and you're looking to get an ICF credential, which is something we'll talk about later. Maybe you're looking for a career shift. Or you just want some of the coaching skills. They can be invaluable just in your everyday life and your relationships at work, as well as at home. We have all kinds of different folks who come and take our program for all of those reasons. So we'll just give it a second here and see what sort of group we have with us today. And that way I can tailor the information, make sure we're getting everybody the information that you need. And while you're finishing out, filling that poll out, I also want to say, this, again, it's your session, so throw in questions as we go. We'll try and answer them in the right sections as we go. So it's really this is a back and forth. So let's take a look. Looks like the biggest percentage we have at 33%, you want to do meaningful work that aligns with your passion. That's perfect. It's such a coach answer. And it's a wonderful thing. I really had a fantastic opportunity to take the program myself, and I was blown away by just how much you're able to impact people's lives with even just one coaching session. So this is absolutely the right place for you. We also have folks looking at a career shift, and people have had others share things with them, and they just seem to attract people who maybe need them to be their coach. And so we have a lot of folks who come in and say, it's just, I've kind of always sort of coached my whole life, just with my friends and other people, they just come to me. And so maybe this is something I want to make a career out of, and really know the skills and the academics behind it. So this is perfect. Welcome everybody. And we're going to go ahead and move forward. And so you've told us a little bit about yourselves. I'll tell you about myself. So my name is Heather Ogle. I'm the program manager for our coaching program at UC Davis. And then we also have other members of our team. We have Christy Craig, who is our enrollment coach. She'll be the first person that you're really interacting with a lot as you're looking at the program, as you're working on your application and enrolling. This is all you're going to be getting to know Christy. Her information is at the top of the screen here. My colleague Jen, who is running the slides for us in the background of the Zoom today, she will be able to put in Christy's Calendly link. So it's a link that you can click on and see Christy's calendar and schedule a time with her to ask more questions. If you have more questions after we're done with the session, you can schedule directly on her calendar whenever is convenient for you, or give her a call or an email. And don't worry about scribbling things down. This whole recording and the slides will be shared in 24 hours automatically for everybody who signed up for this information session. And then on the far right, we have my associate director, my boss, Joanna Siebert, who is also a coach, has been through this program as well as other programs. And so she's intimately aware and practiced in the world of coaching. And so she's our overarching leader on this program. And then here are our program directors. So these would be our subject matter experts. We've got Carol Bennett, who is a PCC, that's a professional level coach. And we'll go into a little bit more on what those letters mean and where they come from That's an ICF term, or an International Coach Federation term. Some folks are already fully aware of what that is, and some folks will have no idea, and that's totally fine. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then we have Michelle Payne, who is an MCC, a Master Certified Coach. And only about 5% of coaches worldwide make it to that level, the Master. So we have Michelle Payne, who teaches 2 courses in our class and is a director. We also have another instructor, Lori Kozart, who's also a Master Certified Coach. So we're really lucky to have 2 Master coaches. And then we have Carol Bennett, who helped to create this program. She's that PCC, as well as a PhD in adult learning and leadership. So she has a great perspective as well. And she works at Sutter and manages their internal coach program for the entire hospital. So those are our directors, and you'll get to know them really, really well within the cohort. They're fantastic. Everybody loves them. So I'm excited to introduce them to you. Again, this is your session, so throw out those questions, put them in the Q&A box, use the chat. We're here for you, and it's always much more fun when you guys, when you get to communicate back and forth. So again, just feel comfortable to throw those questions out as we go, and we'll make sure that if we haven't answered them all by the time we get to the end, we'll make sure to backtrack and have them all answered.
Oh, and Heather, I see one of our attendees has their hand raised. So in this session, it's just easier for us to work, either the Q&A or the chat box. If for any reason you're calling in on a phone, or you don't have the ability to actually, maybe write something in, don't worry, I'm going to send out our information. You can contact us or Christy, and we can answer your specific question if we don't get to it in the session today.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, that's another function of the webinar format that we're using. We communicate just with the texting back and forth. Thank you for pointing that out. Here's a quick agenda of all the things we're going to be looking at. We'll go into what it is to be a coach, or how we define coaching in our program. And then a little bit about our philosophy, what makes us different from other programs, why you might choose us. And then our schedule, a little bit about that ICF that I mentioned, and then the extra benefits that come along with our program. And then again, we'll finish off with that Q&A. So here we go. We are based all around the International Coach Federation definition of coaching. And what that really is about is being a partner with your client. You're not directing your client. It's a partnership where you're going to ask creative questions, thought-provoking questions, and really engage in this relationship where you're a sounding board for the client. You're going to help them find the answers that are already within their own mind. And the power that comes out of that is that the individual is going to be so much more likely to follow through whatever maybe solution or new ideas that come out of that session when it's coming from themselves. Nobody likes to be told what to do, whether you're 2 years old or 42 years old. But when it's your own idea, you're so much more likely to be fully vested in it and move forward with it. And so that's the power of coaching, is that you're not like some of these other things that we have on the screen, like a mentor. A mentor has been there, done that. They tell you what a good thing to do is. This is a good thing to do. You should do this. And you're not going to do that as a coach. You're going to ask, well, what would it be like if you did that? Or what would it be like if you did that? And then some other things that get mixed up with coaching sometimes are therapy and counseling. So therapy and counseling are absolutely vital parts of a person's self-improvement journey, and can be very similar to coaching. But we like to say that therapy and counseling are backwards facing or past facing, whereas coaching is future facing. So if you're really looking at something that happened in the past, and you're untangling that to understand how you're reacting today, that's all going to be therapy and counseling, looking at old things and how it's holding you back. Versus coaching takes the person as a whole, as they are in this moment, and says, you are capable where you are today, and what is the block in front of you? Let's look at any barriers that you perceive in front of you and help you figure out how you would get around those. So that's the easiest way for me to remember the difference between a coach versus a therapist. And we talk about this a good bit in the program, and as well as the ethics of coaching and how important it is to refer when you have a client who really seems like they need more of a therapy or a counseling situation than a coaching situation. It's important to recognize that and actively refer to your other colleagues so that the client is getting the exact kind of service that they need at that particular time. Maybe when they're done with therapy, then it's time for a coach, that sort of thing. So
we have a couple questions, I think that might be, if you have a moment. So someone is asking that they have a master's in counseling and they already counsel at California, in California, but they're thinking about opening their own coaching business. Would this program be appropriate? They're looking to advance their skills and go past the basics, and also supporting building a business and creating a network.
Perfect. Great question. Absolutely. This program would be a great option for starting up your own coaching business as far as the skills go. And we've had many counselors and therapists come through the program, and they actually have a little bit of, they call it unlearning or compartmentalization to do, because you already have your habits and you're trained with whatever your profession is. And then so it can be even a little bit more trickier for somebody who's already kind of coaching, but it's actually therapy, to then stop themselves short and be like, okay, wait, I have my coaching hat on right now. I need to ask a coaching question, not a therapy question. So you'll notice as you go through the program and coach, that you just have to be nimble at switching those hats and be like, okay, which hat am I putting on at this moment? And so you can absolutely develop the skills to do both and differentiate. And that's really, the skills are what this program is all about. Now, when it comes to, you mentioned, setting up your business, we like to be clear that we do not teach business skills or small business marketing, things like that as part of this program specifically. This is all about the skills to be a coach. And those skills are defined by the International Coach Federation. I'll mention that in a second. But we don't do marketing. There are some courses out there that are literally like how to start your coaching business. And I usually refer people to that because it's a low cost and it's content that's exactly directed at what to do to start your coaching business. So there's already good content out there. We point you to that. So any other questions at this point, Jen?
Yeah, so someone was also asking, if they did get the certification, are they permitted to practice in other states?
Excellent question as well. So it's interesting because coaching is actually not a regulated profession yet. So it's really become more of a household name in the last 10 years, but it's still not state regulated or industry regulated per se. So what we have are national associations like the International Coach Federation, as well as a couple of other recognized associations that have standards and that you take exams, and that gets you a credential, like the PCC, the MCC after your name. And that shows others your skill level and that you've been vetted and that you've taken the training. But technically, if you wanted to hang a shingle today and call yourself a coach, you could start right today without any program under your belt, no certificate on your wall. And so that applies across all states. The nice thing about this program is that not only do you get a certificate from UC Davis showing that you've taken an academic program, this program is approved by our graduate school, so it is an academic program. Then you also are set up to pursue your credential through the ICF, should you want that. And so you can have a certificate on your wall and then move forward to get an ICF credential, which are those letters after your name, which is something that people put in job postings on LinkedIn, that kind of thing. It's a recognizable set of letters that can help you get a job and prove to other folks that you know what you're doing. So that's where you are in the world of coaching so far. So yes, you can coach in any state.
Thanks, Heather. So we have a couple more questions, but if I just, I think we're going to cover some of them in a couple slides. So we will get to everyone's questions, I promise, just hold tight. I think some of the questions are going to be relevant to some of the slides that are upcoming.
Okay, great, perfect. Yeah, let's keep on track here. We're going to do another poll here. Have you guys ever had a coach? We've got plenty of people who have entered our program who hadn't had a lot of coaching themselves before, which is absolutely fine. And then we have others who say, oh yeah, gosh, I've had a coach for 3 years, or I get a coach off and on every once in a while over the last 10 years. So we'll just see what our experience level is with us today, and then we can talk on that. All right, it looks like your answers are coming in.
Yep, just maybe a couple more seconds, just give a couple more people, Heather. Thank you everybody for participating.
So one of the most amazing things while you guys are sharing those in about the program, and it's something that I didn't quite realize, even though I was running the program until I took it myself, was it's amazing not only for the content, but for the coaching that you receive as a student in the program. You are going to be doing so much practice. It is more experiential than it is theoretical. You will sit through theoretical lecture and you will discuss the skills and steps, and stepwise, these are the 4 things you want to do with every session. You will get that framework, but you are going to be practicing every single class with each other. So you're receiving that coaching across a 5-6 month period. So not only are you learning the skills, but you can have immense development in your personal and professional life just by participating in this experiential program. So you're going to get coaching if you haven't had it before, I guess is my point. And then for the folks we have here, let's see. Have we had a coach? 33% say yes. So you know what it's like to be coached. That's excellent. And then our largest proportion, almost 50%, say no, not yet, but I'd love the experience. So it's really an excellent thing that you'll get a bunch of coaching within the program. And then if you would like to see what the coaching is like, if you have a topic that you'd like to be coached on, we bring in volunteers from the community and to act as volunteer clients for our students. And so you might look into, ask us for the link to apply to be one of those volunteers and be coached by some of our current students so that you can see what that experience is like. So that's just one option for seeing what coaching is like before you actually get your jump in the water. Okay. Here's our slide on sort of what our philosophy is. And so you can understand what our program is about, because there are multiple programs out there and we're really all about the right person in the right program. So if we don't have exactly what you're looking for, that is totally fine. There are a couple other programs out there that are great. We really like the way ours is set up, but it's always about finding the one that's going to get you what you're looking for. So ours is based all around the ICF core competencies. And it's a list of core skills that every coach should have, kind of just like you would have fundamentals in basketball that you would drill on. These are the core skills, the fundamentals of coaching. And the nice thing about using that as your base is that applies to any kind of coach, whether you're an executive coach or a youth coach or a life coach or a spiritual coach. It doesn't matter. The skills for communicating with those people are all the same. The basics come down to all of the same things, asking really powerful questions that aren't closed-ended, something that can't be answered with a simple yes or no, and really building trust with the client, and a whole host of these core skills. So because any kind of coach needs those skills, we get people in our program who are intending to be all kinds of coaches. So we have an immensely diverse group of people who end up being in your cohort. It's not just a bunch of people who want to do life coaching or exclusively executive coaches. It's a whole mix. And we do that also by design through the application. We're really looking for people to share stories about themselves so we can get to know you as a person and what your interests in coaching are and where your passions lie. And we end up with people age ranges from mid-30s all the way up to post-retirement and beyond. and professions, from actively working Intel coaches and Google, to Sacramento bartenders, stay-at-home moms, career changers, people who are consultants, you name it. We've had people doing those jobs, and they all come together and mix. And again, you're doing that coaching with each other. So your exposure to all these different kinds of people and different perspectives really enhances your learning in the program and your skills for dealing with the populace at large after you leave the program. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have a great question. I thought that might go along with what you're talking about. Is someone saying they're interested in coaching, but they're unsure if they want to be a small business owner. Have you had people go through this program and get jobs within industry? And if so, what type of roles did they take?
Yes, 100%. So yeah, hanging a shingle, so to speak, and being a small business owner is certainly one option. And we have plenty of people who do that and do that successfully. But other things, you can look for jobs to be an internal, what's called an internal coach in large organizations. Whether all of the large health organizations in the region have internal coaches. Google has a whole host of internal coaches. Intel, as I mentioned before, has internal coaches. We often have members come to our cohorts from them. So large organizations have coaches that they hire. And then another option would be there are coaching firms. You could join a firm and they bring the clients to you. So you just say, I'm this kind of a coach. I want to work this many hours. I'm available. And they bring the clients to you for less money than you would make if you were doing all of the business and management yourself, because they're putting in money and marketing to find these people. But you still have a steady salary and a steady flow of clients. So there's, Lyra is a health coaching firm, and Better Up is another one. There are a few different coaching firms out there right now that you can just join up with them, and they'll give you the clients, and there you go, you're coaching. So there are a few different options to try once you have your coaching credential.
Great. And then someone was asking, is the coaching one-on-one? How often is it? And someone else wanted to know what sizes the cohorts were.
Sure. So the practice of coaching is one-on-one. However, when you're learning new skills and things like that, you may have a third or even a fourth person in your breakout room with you, watching the session. And it's actually really valuable to have that, we call them triads, that third person in your group watching you coach somebody, because when you're actively coaching, or the reverse, you're being the client, it is so difficult to remember what you said or asked during the session, because you're in it, you're doing it. And once it's done, you're like, oh my gosh, did I ask this question or that question? And that third or fourth person says, oh gosh, you asked a great question like this, but then you asked this question, and it was a yes or no question, and you don't even remember because you're just, you are actively in it. So that answers the question around how the practice goes in class. You'll have observers sometimes, but you're only coaching one person. It's not a team coaching class, which is another program we have. This is all about coaching the individual. And then cohort size. Our cohort has grown over the years. So when we were in person, it was up to about 30. Now that we're online, and this cohort will again be online until, we'll probably be online at least once a year, probably indefinitely. And going back in person won't happen until the pandemic and COVID are really calmed down. So at least for now, I can say this next cohort that we're here to talk about will be online. That means we have more space. And so we're accepting more people because there's a huge demand to be in this program. So we've had up to 50 people, which for me sounded like a lot, because in my cohort, I think we had 32. And, as the program manager, I'm really, really aware of the fact that this cohort is important, and it's an important part of the experience. And I've been so happy to hear from the recent alumni that the number really had no impact on their learning. If anything, it was just more really cool people to get to know. Because we break you out into those small groups, you're spending so much time. We split you up and try and get you interacting with everybody in your group, in your cohort, but it's always within those smaller subgroups. You're still getting that sort of meaningful, deep interaction. And so far so good. People are really enjoying and have not said that the cohort size is an issue for them. So I'm really happy to hear that so far.
Great.
All right, we're gonna keep going here.
I was gonna say, just reminding everybody, great questions. I'm not forgetting anybody. I know I'm going a little bit out of order, but I know what slides are coming up, and we'll also have a general Q&A at the end. So if I didn't get to anybody during the slides, don't worry, we'll get to you.
Awesome. And if we need to stay a little past noon, I'm happy to do that for questions, but I also want to make sure that we get through the content and are courteous about everybody's time. So what to expect for the classes. We have our programs broken down into 5 different classes, and that happens across about 5 months. So we'll meet for class 1 week, then you have a week off, and you come back the next week. And you can see you're going to start with the essentials. That's where we define coaching. You learn about the ethics, when to refer, that kind of thing. And then comes core competencies. That's a full 6 classes, 6 Fridays and Saturdays. And so that's your largest class. That's where you're learning all of those skills and really just getting acquainted with and practicing those skills. Then you move into coaching mindset, which kind of turns the lens back on yourself a little bit and has the idea that to be a really good coach, you need a really strong personal foundation. And so you're going to look at your own personal biases, making sure that you're aware that we all have personal biases, and learning skills and trying not to have that impact how you coach other people, and diversity and inclusion. That's all part of that coaching mindset unit. And then you move into coaching conversation. And by this point in the program, you've really gained a ton of skills. You've gone from being, if you're brand new to coaching, really nervous about these new skills, and you've done enough practice that it's really starting to become habit. And coaching conversation starts moving into the more advanced techniques and exposing you to some of the different things that styles of coaching. You talk about neuro-linguistic programming in coaching conversations. And some of the science behind coaching and why coaching works. And then finally, in Coach Mastery, you really start looking at your coaching plan, where you want to go with coaching, and kind of prepping for the end of the program and your next steps. And again, so this is our daily or weekly structure. We're on Zoom. They are a full Zoom room. So unlike this, you can see everybody and interact with everybody. And they're on Fridays and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days. So I've had some people be surprised in the past. They actually get all the way into the program and they're like, oh gosh, I have to come at 9 a.m. on Friday. So yes, 9 to 4 on Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. Then you get a whole week off, and then you'll come back and do that again. All right, and that's the general pattern. Sometimes that pattern gets thrown off by holidays or something like that, but that's the general pattern, and we have a schedule that we can share with you guys. All right, we're going to skip this next poll because I know we have a lot of great questions out there. Generally, we have a lot of folks from the Sacramento area, but because we're online, we've been able to reach more of the Southern California folks who we haven't in the past. We also have international folks. We almost always have somebody from outside of the country. Back in the day when we were in person, they would fly and live in Sacramento for 5 months. We've had people fly every week from the East Coast, from the DC area. We had 2 friends fly every other week to California to come to the in-person program. So we've really made it, really broadened our audience, and we're able to serve more people with this current online format. All right, so here's a look at our schedule. And again, just pop us an email. We can get this to you. But you can see here on the left are those 5 classes I talked about, the coaching essentials, competencies, mindset, conversations, and mastery. And then you'll see tucked in here are 2 things called demo days. That's actually an entire Saturday, and there's no class that Friday, but an entire Saturday where you are demonstrating in front of a group of 10 of your peers, and then they give you feedback. And for most folks, that's a really stressful day at first, but by the time you get into it, it's really exciting. It's really fun. It's amazing to see your peers coach and see how far they've come. And it's just really valuable feedback for your coaching. All right, so what would you need to pay for the program? What are all of the other little sort of details about the program? The tuition right now is $83.25, and I'll say that that is a highly competitive price in the market. We offer a lot of things that other programs don't offer, and we're still at a lower price. And we're really happy that we're able to offer that. I don't know how much longer we'll be able to sustain this price, but other programs are $12,000, $15,000, $20,000. So this is a highly competitive price for the amount of things that you're getting in this program. So what do you get? You get the actual program itself, course materials, textbooks, and then you also get something called a mentor coach, which if you're interested in getting your ICF credential, this is a must. You have to have mentor coaching hours in order to apply for your credential. And if you're going to pay somebody outside of class to do that for you, the minimum fee is around $2,000. But it's so vital, and we want to provide everything that you would need, everything we can, to get you on that path to your ICF credential that we included in the program. We also, like I mentioned, we have volunteer clients that know you're a student, but they get free coaching, so it's a win-win. And that can ease some of the tension of finding your first client. And you don't have to use them. It's just an option provided by the program. And then you also will get a pro Zoom account for the duration of your time in the program. And that's because we know we're all going to be on Zoom, and you need to be able to record your sessions and have transcripts, which is the transcript is something that a basic account will not give you. So we have institutional pro level accounts that you can have while you're in the program. And then we usually have a registration fee, and that's waived. So we don't have to worry about that. And so here we are right now. We are in the early application period. So this is the absolute best chance for you to compete and get into the program because we'll have the fewest applications. As time goes on, you can still submit your application down the road, but the competition will be more and more and more because more people start turning those applications in. Another great perk of being a part of the program is our alumni group. It's a closed group on Facebook. And as soon as you're in the program, you can have access to this group. This group is invaluable for networking, to find out about small business procedures, or what kind of software do you use for your accounting, or where have you found is a great place to advertise? All of these kinds of questions are really great questions that people talk about on the forum in the alumni group. And our alumni are so excited every year to share what they know because they've been in your place before. They've been the newbies. And so now they have knowledge, and they're so excited to share that with the new folks coming in. So it's really that a fantastic community. Sometimes they have pro share groups and master sessions where they'll teach each other about new things. So it's a great community that you do get access to once you're in the program. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and run this poll because I think we've made up a little bit of time. And it is important to know, what are your guys' familiarity with this ICF that I keep mentioning, this International Coach Federation? If you're a coach or you've been looking at coaching for a while, you've probably come across it. If you're kind of new in this journey and you're just looking into things, maybe you haven't heard about it yet. So I'm happy to introduce that to you and explain a little bit about it. And then, it's totally fine if, maybe you've heard about it and you're just not interested. We have people who are just interested in learning skills and just enriching their lives with education. That is a perfectly fine reason to take this program. You don't have to be interested in getting an ICF credential and starting a small business and all of that to really have a great time in this program. So let's see what we have. So yes, I've been on their website. That's 15%. So a few of you are ahead of the curve there. That's great. And then we have folks, another 27% who say, I know what they are, and I think the credential is a good thing. So that's great. And then about 50% say I've heard of it, but I'm not exactly that familiar. And then we have 12% who say, this is the first time I've heard of ICF. What are you talking about? So that's a great distribution. We'll spend a little bit of time then on going over what these letters mean here on this next slide. So again, the ICF stands for the International Coach Federation, and it truly is international. Countries all over the world are a part of this program, or not program, but association. And it's the #1 most recognized credentialing association for coaching. It is for coaches, ICF, absolutely recognizable. And it's set up in a 3-tier system. So when you first start, you start with what's called an associate certified coach, or an ACC. And then as you gain more hours in your profession, you can apply for the PCC, that professional certified coach. And then finally, there's that master level, the MCC. And only about, like I said, 5% of coaches ever make it to that level, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of coaching required before you can apply for your master's level. But this program gets you set up to get both your ACC and your PCC. So those first two the entry and the middle level, we get you everything you need, apart from one thing, which I'll go over in a second, to pursue those credentials. And again, the credential is different from the certificate. So you get a UC Davis certificate, and then you can pursue your ICF credential to get those letters after your name to shout out to everybody, hey, I know what I'm doing. Check out my letters after my name. And to be able to provide everything that you need to get those credentials, you have to be an accredited coach training program. So that's what we are. We're called an ACTP. We are an accredited coach training program. And we provide 150 hours of training. So you need multiple things to sit for the exam. And the very first thing are those training hours. And then, like I mentioned before, if you're going to try and get your ICF, you need mentor coach. So we provide those mentor coaching hours. And then we provide a client so that you can start getting your practice hours. And that's really going to be the key thing that you will do after you finish the program, is finish out your practice hours. So I'm going to go to the next slide, which kind of shows these a little bit better. So here we are. We've got our blue for our first level, orange for the second, and red for the master level. And this program, it is that associate certified coach training program. So we've got that. We've got more than 60 hours. We actually have 150 hours of coach training. Work with your mentor coach, we cover that. Reference letters, absolutely easy to get. A demonstration of your oral exam. So you will submit an oral final, which is basically a coaching session for evaluation. And so all that's left then are these coach experience hours. So while you're in the program, you will do coaching with each other as homework assignments. That counts for the training hours. Any coaching you do outside of class with each other or with your UC Davis client, any of that, that counts as your practice hours, your experience hours. So we have absolutely had people who really just pedal to the metal, and they are coaching, barter coaching back and forth with each other in the cohort like crazy, coaching their moms, coaching their friends, and they get these 100 hours within a couple weeks of graduating. But that's like, that's your goal. That is what you are doing every afternoon. You're getting your coaching hours in. Most of our folks take their time. Well, that's less true these days. 50% recently have been really, really gunning it and getting that credential really quickly. The other 50% take their time and can take up to 3 years to acquire those practice hours, sort of as a side gig. So it's totally up to you how much time you take to get your practice hours. But that's the only thing in the back of your mind is like, I need those practice hours. Everything else, UC Davis is taking care of for me. And so once you have 100 hours, you'll be able to sit for the exam and get your ACC. And you are fully prepared for the exam because, like I said before, our program is based around those core competencies of the ICF, and that's what the exam is on. So no problem with the exam. We've never had anybody fail the exam. You'll be ready to get that first credential. And then let's say you've gotten a job and you are coaching, full time, and you get your 500 hours. That's that next level. Your UC Davis certificate takes care of everything you need for that next level as well, apart from those 500 hours. So, you've taken some time, you've got your 500 hours, you're like, okay, what do I need to do? Just once again, you submit your UC Davis certificate. You say, hey, I went to UC Davis. And they're like, okay, that means you've done all of this other stuff. You're good to go. And you'll get your next level. So we do both levels of the ICF. So this process can be a little daunting to folks. We go over it in lots of detail during the program and how you would go about applying and taking the exam and all of that stuff. So try not to stress about it. It's lots of people have done it every year. And it's just going to be those practice hours that you're going to do outside of class that to finish up and get your credential.
Heather, before we move on to the next slide, I do have a couple questions that are relevant to this page.
Sure.
Someone wanted to know, can you tell a little bit more about the academic units you gained through this program? Is it just CEUs or actual units? And the other question was, I know you were just talking a little bit about the process, but someone was asking, what exactly is involved, anything else that you could add to earning the ICF credential after the program?
Absolutely. So to answer the academic question, these are actual academic units. So we have an academic number. The course is evaluated and approved by the Academic Senate and the Graduate School of Management here at UC Davis. So you get 15 academic quarter units. And on my next slide, I actually talk about how those 15 units can be applied to a master's degree in a program that we have an agreement with. But I'll wait for that for just a second. But yes, they are actual academic units. Now, as far as the ICF process goes, you'll finish out the program, you'll get your certificate, you'll go to the ICF website, submit your digital certificate, and submit a form certifying that you have coached 100 hours. They'll sometimes audit and ask for, some names of people that you've coached, and so that they can say, did this person coach you? And they'll say, yeah. And, okay. So they'll approve your hours, and they'll see your UC Davis certificate and know that you've passed the oral exam already, you've passed a written exam, and all that's left is to take their official society or what's the word I'm looking for? Association exam. And that's $300. Yeah, $100 to join the association, and then $200 to take the exam. So it's $300. You'll take the exam, it'll be super easy. And then you will have your official ACC. You'll be able to post that to LinkedIn, and put it on your business card, everything like that, to show everybody, put on your resume that you have that credential. So it's not too hard of a process to go through, and everybody has lots of anxiety about it every year, and it's always fine. I tell people, try not to stress. They do anyways, but try not to stress. It's not bad. It's not a bad process. So we're going to have plenty of time for questions, I think, because we're moving pretty good. Here's what I was mentioning a second ago as far as those academic units are concerned. So we have an agreement, an articulation agreement with the University of the Pacific that says, they've evaluated our curriculum and they said, okay, this matches enough of our curriculum that we are actually going to take this as transfer credit automatically. You don't have to, ask us and submit things to see if we'll accept this. They see your certificate and they say, okay, great. All you have left to do are 7 classes and your capstone. So basically it gets you between a third and a half of a master's degree. Assuming you already have your bachelor's, you would just apply to the University of Pacific. And I've had many students get into our program and then get in touch with our contact at the University of the Pacific and turn all of their paperwork in to be accepted into their program, showing their bachelor transcripts and things like that, so that they're lined up as soon as they're done with the UC Davis program. A couple weeks later, they start in the master's program. And so it's a really great opportunity. If a master's degree, this is actually in organizational learning and effectiveness, and it's a master's. I need to update my slide. They've switched departments, so it's not a master's of arts and education. It's a master's in leadership, which also sounds great to me. So it's a master's in leadership with the concentration in organizational learning and effectiveness. And so if you're interested in that, I can always set you up with the contact information for our associates over there. So we always have a few people take advantage of this every quarter. And it's just a really neat side advantage to our program. Okay, so just again, a reminder that we're coming up on the early application deadline is the 30th. If you do make that deadline, then you'll find out if you're in the program by the 15th, if not sooner. So if this is sounding like the right path for you and everything's lining up, then go ahead and get that application in. It's free to apply, so no cost. And then you'll find out by the middle of October, before Halloween, if you're in this next cohort. Here are some points about the actual application. It's going to ask you about your work history. A lot of people leave that blank, but it's really helpful for us because that is the one prerequisite for the program, is that you have 5 years of professional work history. And you don't have to have been working recently. We have a lot of career changers and retirees. So that is totally fine. We just need to see that, you've had real world experience, and, it signals that you are a professional, know how to be in a professional situation, and are prepared to have, those hard conversations that come up in coaching. So that's just the one way that we're able to kind of approximate all of that information with one prerequisite. So share your work history. If you're not currently doing it, you can say previously XYZ. That's totally fine. Then we have our 4 questions, and it's all about getting to know you. So give us more than a sentence. If you send us a sentence, Jen or I will turn it around and say, we gotta get more information, because I know my director will say, I need more information. So give us as much information as you can, give examples, specifics. I remember this one time I was kind of coaching somebody and it felt like this, and then they felt like that. And when it was done, it was amazing because something. Give us those examples from your life. So that's our application. Again, it's free. So you can click into, we'll share the link in the chat, and you can see what those questions are in the actual link as well. So again, you don't need to quickly write all these down or anything like that. You can spend as much time with the questions as you like. I do recommend typing them out in a Word document first and then pasting them into the actual application. That just seems to work better. And then money. So money's always an important part of the process, whether we like it or not. So we do have some financing options. UC Davis has some partners with private student loan providers. So you can apply for student loans through our program. We also have a payment plan that breaks the payment into 3 chunks. So that's another option. We're actually one of the only programs left at CPE that still does a payment plan, because we know it's a lot of money and we really want to try and be as equitable as we can, make it as accessible as we can to folks. So we do still have the payment plan. And then there are discounts available. So everybody who's come here today to join us live, you're going to get $100 off automatically. You'll be getting an email in 24 hours, like I said, automatically. In that email will be your discount code. So at the minimum, you guys will have $100 off of your tuition. And then if you do a group of people, so if you have 3 people at your work, and you're like, okay, I think we should have a group of coaches in our institution, then you can get a 10% discount off for everybody. So these are things that you can often talk to your boss and talk them into doing a partial payment, partially covering the cost, because your skills are then going to benefit them and your department. So you can get creative and with finding folks to help pay the cost, because you can argue that, gosh, I'm going to be just this awesome person with these awesome new skills on our team, and it's going to benefit everybody in these ways.
And Heather, we're having a couple of questions about, people are asking about VI bills, military maintenance, special funding, discounts. So if you could speak a little bit to that.
Sure. So we do qualify for the GI Bill and veterans funds. So we have multiple vets come through every year. So that is an option. We also qualify for, in California, what's called the WIOA. So that's the Workforce Innovation Act. That's another way to pay for the program as well. So, and if you have any other sort of alternative funding source, absolutely get in touch with us, contact Christy here to discuss the details. And for the most part, any kind of funding source we can usually accommodate. So whether it's vouchers, education vouchers, these sorts of things, this program qualifies for a lot of those things. Everything except actual federal student loans, which is a real bummer. Because it's a certificate and not a degree, we don't qualify for like FAFSA student loans. But everything else, you have a real good shot that it will qualify. So just get in touch with us via Christy, and we can work that out on an individual basis. I will say it's good that you're here today, because alternative funding sources take time. And so you'll want to go ahead and apply as early as you can, be accepted as early as you can. Just because you're accepted doesn't mean you're committing to the program. So you can decline an acceptance or sometimes defer to another cohort. So go ahead and get that application and get accepted, so that then you can work on all of the financials and have time to work that out before the program starts in January.
Great. And then Heather, someone asked a question about knowing it's the right program, that certification prices have a wide range. Some are $20,000, some are $1,500. How do you determine the right price for a program?
Yeah, it really comes down to what you're looking for. So this program is, it's all encompassing, and not only in like the way you learn things, but in an engagement way. You are fully pulled into this program. You forget that you are sitting in front of a computer screen while you're in these sessions and coaching each other, or watching somebody, who's volunteered for a demo. What our instructors, our master coaches, will do a demo with somebody. And, in my cohort, I still remember somebody who volunteered, and it became an emotional session, and she was so vulnerable. And, here I am, like 3,000 miles away from wherever she is, but I'm tearing up because it's real life. And the fact that I was looking at a computer screen was just totally out of my mind. So it is something that takes emotional energy. You will be asked to stretch beyond your comfort zone. It is not just an intellectual process. You will be asked to open and share openly with your classmates in a confidential space. That's one of the very first things you do, is set a confidentiality agreement between the cohort. But it's real, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And so this price gets you that real, fully involved, immersed experience. There are other processes, other coaching options that are cheaper, that do share the knowledge with you, but it's not necessarily immersive. It's not necessarily live. It could be over the telephone. It could be a live session, once a month. But all the other time you're on your own, just learning and doing your coaching sessions over the phone. But sometimes that's the right thing for somebody. Their schedule doesn't, accommodate the amount of time that we ask you to put and commit to this program. So, maybe a less intensive program is right for you, and that would come with a different price. And, if you ask me, I think the value of the program is far beyond what we're charging. But so it's a fantastic value that we're at where we are. Because apart from maybe a travel experience where you go to a destination and all sit together and can have campfires on the beach at night, like that's the only other next level of program beyond ours that for an immersive experience. So I hope that kind of answers your question. And please feel free to contact Christy, email us, and we can talk about your goals and your thoughts, and try and see if if this is the right space for you, or if one of those other programs just might better serve you. We're all about, I really want to see the people who think this program is going to fit them take this program. I'm not about like saying, oh, it's perfect for everybody. Everybody absolutely come in. I want you to get into the right coaching program that fits your needs. So any other questions about the financing and things like that? This is where we're at the Q&A session.
Yeah, so we've thanks, the questions are coming in, and we have about 24 questions, Heather. So I've been trying to answer some online. I can do them as the order they came in. I can try to group some, but we definitely have some questions if you're ready for them.
Yeah, throw them out.
Okay. The first one is, how does the program cater to students who want to focus more on a specific core competency, such as wellness coaching, career coaching, etc.?
Yeah, you'll find that the skills really do translate, as I mentioned before. And then as you become comfortable with the basic skills, you can ask the instructors. They're happy to spend. They have office hours at the end of class. Generally, they want you to take your lunch and take a break. They used to be able to ask people questions during lunch, but on Zoom, it's really vital to take those breaks. So they say, take your lunch break, but totally any questions about specifics, like, well, I really want to do this kind of coaching. What do you think? They're there for that. They are like Michelle Payne. She wants to know every single student personally and know their story and really be available to help you with any kind of goals that you have. So the instructors are fantastic resources for that. The content is not specific, but the instructors can be specific. So hopefully that answers your question.
Great. And does the program curriculum include measuring the impact of coaching?
Not explicitly. I would say we share some of the science that has shown the impact of coaching, but and we share some tools and values assessments and things like that that you can use with your clients, and that can be an initial assessment and then a final assessment to look for a difference, but sort of an explicit measurement, I would say no.
Okay, great. And then we had a couple of questions about cohorts. One, how many cohorts do we have per year? And when will they find out if they're accepted into the winter cohort?
Yeah, so right now we have 2 cohorts. We have a winter one that starts at the end of January in general. And then we have a summer cohort that starts at the end of July or in the very beginning of August. So this one would run from January all the way through the first week of June. And that's our winter one. And then our summer one, again, it would start basically August, and the last day of class is usually December 4th or December 5th, something like that. So those two cohorts a year, and excuse me, my throat's getting dry. 2 cohorts a year, and we have rolling acceptance. So right now we're in the early period. You would find out by October 15th if you make the September 30th deadline for your application. If that's too soon, we'll have another general application period, and you would find out then in early November if you have been accepted to the program.
Great, thanks, Heather. And people are wondering, is there a degree requirement to be accepted, and what percentage of applicants get admitted, and if there's anything that would make an application be sent back or not go through, sort of thing?
Yeah. What was the first part?
Sure, I'm sorry. Is there a degree required?
The degree part, okay.
Yeah.
There is no degree required. So you can have started working right out of high school and be, have all that work experience. That is perfectly fine. We just are looking for people who are really invested in showing the professional side of coaching, the serious side of coaching. This program was started to help create that and legitimize the field of coaching, create that respect for coaching, that so that society knows what it can do. And we've made huge strides in the field of coaching, people recognizing its power to help people. And so we're just looking for people who are going to take it seriously and be fully invested in the program. So your degree history does not matter. If you're already a PCC coach, that's great. That doesn't necessarily give you a leg up over the person who's never coached before. To answer the question about, what makes a good application, it's really about sharing, being open to share about yourself and sharing your enthusiasm for coaching and showing that you're going to be, not only is the program going to be good for you, but you're going to be good for the cohort, that you're going to be an active member of the cohort and really bring your perspective and your value to the cohort. Because again, that this back and forth with your other classmates is can be just as valuable as the actual lecture slides. So we're really looking to see people who are interested in an interactive experience on a professional level and are wanting to bring themselves and be fully involved in in the experience.
Great, thanks, Heather. And then another one was, are applications accepted on a rolling basis?
So we do, I did use that term a second ago, and I suppose technically rolling means like constantly looking at them. We do more of a chunked schedule. So we give a few weeks for all of the applications to come in, and then we batch and pull a bunch of them, so as a big batch, and evaluate them all with each other. And then that would be the early application. And then the general application period would start, and then we pull all of those as a bunch in a batch, and they are evaluated together. So there are a couple opportunities to turn in your application throughout the next couple of months, but it's your acceptance is communicated back to you in batches.
Great, thank you. And then someone wanted to know, a lot of people are asking about the questions with the schedule. So one, is the program always going to be offered online, or is this a special accommodation due to COVID? And then just basically like how many weeks are the class? People are asking a little bit about the timeline. And I know you shared that schedule that they should be able to access us off the web. Is correct? Or
yeah, I foresee this program being online at least once a year for the future, indefinitely. Nobody can say 100% because the world is crazy and things change. COVID's a good example of that, but we're just able to reach so many more people and people in different places that we weren't able to accommodate before. And we've had such a good response. So I don't see why it would change. I think we'll continue to have at least one cohort a year in this online format. So if the winter time is just too soon, you need more time to gather the funds or whatnot, I like to say we'll be here when you're ready. And I've had plenty of students that I've talked to for 2, even 3 years as they're looking at the program, and then things eventually they just all align and they're like, okay, I'm ready, let's do this. So it's right person, right program, and right time. So again, let us know if you want to have a conversation about that. But yeah, for an online cohort, I don't see this leaving fully. I think we'll always have at least one online.
great. And let's see, someone was asking, how do full-time workers tend to navigate attending full-day Friday sessions with their employers?
Yeah, I gotta say, I've myself and somebody else I knew, how they dealt with it was a combination of vacation hours. They spent some vacation hours and personal development or staff development. So negotiating with your employer to say, again, explain that these skills are communication skills. These are what's the word I'm looking for? Almost negotiation skills. That's not quite the word I'm looking for, but these are skills that will make me a better teammate, help me to navigate any issues that come up. Customer service, the skills that you gain here are hugely valuable in a customer service realm. You get an angry customer, you're able to sit and listen to them and understand. And once they know they're understood and heard, it makes such the difference. So there are reasons why an employer would want you to take this program. And if you share those, you have a good chance that they would kind of work out a deal with you. And that's how most people who are full-time take this program. They work out a deal with their boss and say, look, I'll spend X amount of my vacation, half is my vacation and half can be staff development, something like that, to do the program. It's usually employer supported.
Thanks, Heather. So we still have about 10 more questions. How are you feeling about answering them live?
Absolutely.
Right.
Anybody who needs to hop off, thank you for being with us today. Again, all of this information will be coming to you automatically in 24 hours. And so please feel free to contact Christy, our enrollment coach, or any of us with any questions you have, and we can answer those for you as you go on this journey of evaluating coaching programs and seeing if coaching is right for you. And then we'll stay on for the next couple of minutes for any other questions that we have.
All right, thanks, Heather. So another one was asking if they're interested in the ICF credential, what needs to be completed after this program to make them eligible to take the test or get certified? I know you did speak a little bit to that.
Yeah, no, and it is, there's a lot to talk about there, but the answer to that question is you need 100 practice hours. We provide the opportunity for the training hours, as well as some other things that I mentioned before. I won't go into it at this point to complicate it, but the training hours, that's all us. The practice hours, where you're actually practicing the skills you've learned, that is, you'll have some of that in the program, but mostly that's something you're going to do outside of class. That's and some students finish those 100 hours during the program. You know, you have a whole week off between classes, so you could be practicing coaching with anybody who will work with you. Say, hey, I'm doing some free coaching, or, you know, I have to get paid, but it'll only cost you $1, or buy me a coffee, or anything like that counts as a paid coaching hour. And it's up to you how quickly you want to accrue those hours. But that's the only thing that is on your plate to take care of to get that ICF, be ready to take that ICF exam. So
Thanks.
your practice hours.
Yeah, a couple of people were asking about the paid hours. They were a little bit wanted to know information.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So they break down that 100 hours into two types. They break them down into paid versus pro bono. And so what they have right here, you can see a minimum of 75 paid hours. So that would mean that you'd have 25 pro bono or free coaching hours, but 3/4 of them need to be paid. And you can achieve that in multiple ways. Like I said, you can charge somebody $1. If you're happy with your skills, you can charge somebody $30. You can charge whatever you want. You can say, you buy me a coffee. You can say to a lot of our students do what's called barter coaching, and they coach each other, and they say, okay, I'll pay you $1 to coach me, and now you pay me $1 to coach you, and it all comes out even. So basically no money is exchanged, but you coach each other, and it counts as paid hours. So you're coaching with your cohort mates, your classmates, which is nice because it's really easy to get in touch with them and to arrange extra coaching hours with them. So a lot of students get a large amount of their hours that way by coaching with your classmates. And that all counts towards those 75 paid hours. And then the 25 would be, you don't have to charge somebody. That's just totally free hours.
Great, Heather. So someone was asking about, I think you did talk a little bit about what exactly are the application requirements, and Christine will definitely be good access, a point person, but also the early deadline. What's the next application deadline if they miss the early deadline?
So the next application deadline, you're testing me off the top of my head because I didn't put it on my slides. But I think that wouldn't be until early November. So as soon as September 30th passes, we'll update the application on the website to show the new deadline. So you can just check back and see what the new deadline is, but it would be early November. The exact day I don't remember, so I don't want to steer anybody wrong by guessing. But yes.
Okay, great. And then while you're on the slide, someone was asking, what is the cost of the credential once the course is completed?
What is the cost of the credential? Yeah. That's going to be $300 altogether. So you're going to pay to join the ICF. So you have your membership fee. And then you're going to pay to take the exam. So the membership fee is $100 and the exam is $200. And this is as of last year. So, things change, things update, but generally speaking, it's going to be around $300 to become a part of the association and take their exam.
Great, thank you. And then we had a couple of people who had questions about University of the Pacific program. Do you happen to know if it's online or in person? And then after completing the program, are the credits good to apply? Like, do you need to begin immediately, or can you wait 6 months, a year, sort of thing?
Yeah, you can absolutely wait. You don't have to do it right away. I just like to share that example because I was really impressed the first time somebody did it, so that they could just swing right into the master's program. I was like, that is slick. But you don't have to do it that way. You can take time in between the programs. And what was the first question? Oh, no, I don't remember. What was the first question?
Oh, do you happen to know if the courses are online or in person?
Yes, so they have gone online. The majority of the courses are all online, except for a couple of what they call residency weekends, where you would come to campus for the weekend. I think it may only be 2 times for the whole program, and you would have an in-person weekend at the campus, and that's the most current experience that they're doing. Things change, things get updated, but it's an online program, some synchronous live, like together, some asynchronous, and then you would come to campus just a couple of times for a weekend.
Someone's asking if you can share a link to the University of Pacific program. I think we do that in the follow-up, or will Christy have that link?
Yeah, also they're super easy to Google. If you just do UOP, and then maybe you could type this because this is a lot of letters. Yeah. MOLE, UOP, MOLE, that'll take you to that exact page where they talk about the program.
Oh, great. Someone was asking, are you doing job placements for students? And do you have any past students that you could connect with, or that students could connect with? Yeah,
we can definitely connect you with our alumni. We have folks who are really happy to speak to prospective students and share their experiences. We will probably have some alumni in more sessions like this as we get closer to the program starting. So you can always check back and keep an eye out for when we have an alumni on a session, but we can connect you to speak personally with alumni. If you're interested, that would be something that you would ask Christy for. So again, Christy Craig, our enrollment coach, her info will be in our follow-up email. Just let her know that you'd like to speak with an alumni, and we'll find somebody who's available. There was another part of that question. You give me these 2-part questions, and then it's a Friday. No, it's not your fault. It's a Friday. I'm like, you had the first job placement.
Yes.
So we don't have any job placement component of the program. The alumni group can be useful for that. Absolutely asking people for, we have people who are already working as internal coaches and say, hey, can you guys keep your eyes out at your institutions if another position opens? We have some coaches who are opening their own firms and looking to, fill positions within their own coaching business. So that kind of thing, that's all where our alumni group comes in really, really helpful for that sort of thing. But we don't have any specific job placement function through the university.
Great. Do you ever do non-weekend days for classes? Hard to do for working parents.
I definitely understand that. The closest we ever got was doing Tuesday and Thursday evenings and a Saturday class. And we just didn't have enough people taking advantage of it. It was we would have a small group of folks who were like, thank you so much. This was the absolutely only time I could do this. But it got to a point where we just really couldn't fund the program on that number of people. So we right now are sticking to the Friday, Saturday schedule. And, my heart goes out to you because I definitely, I have family in town. I have an 11-year-old cousin. I totally understand the whole family thing and trying to do this with a family. But right now where we're at is Fridays and Saturdays.
Great. Someone, and this might be another question for Christy to help out in student services, but is the course considered half-time for the GI Bill benefit?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is a specific question, and we would need to get you with our specialist who works specifically for the GI benefits in our student services. I would suspect possibly, because we have so many GIs who actually do come through this program, it works for them. It's worked for them. So, if I had to offer a guess, I would, be on the positive side, but I truly don't know the answer to that question, but we can connect you with somebody who would.
Great. And someone just had a question about, with timing with the winter session, if it didn't work out and they're considering the summer session, is there a list of those specific session dates on the website that we can schedule around? Is that posted yet? For the summer 2022 applications?
Great question. We don't have the confirmed dates for the summer session just yet, but we will have that in the next probably 3 to 4 weeks. So we just have to find out, our availability of all of our instructors who are working professionals. And so we end up having to schedule around their international coaching engagements and things like that. So we don't have the short answer is I don't have the summer schedule yet, but we will. So definitely contact us so that we can get that to you as soon as it is available.
All right. I think we actually got to all our questions. Thank you so much, Heather.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Again, feel free to get in touch if you have any other questions and send that application in. It's free to do, and you want to get in as early as you can so you have the least competition. So definitely appreciate you guys being with us today. And do we have one more? Or are we okay?
Let's see. Oh, so I was just saying thank you. Thank you, everybody. We had a lot of people here asking questions, and appreciate your patience, and thank you. I'm glad we got to everybody.
Me too. All right. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you in the program. Have a great weekend.